Let me tell you how agents and guards have dealt with incidents. For example, a uniformed guard at a school may have to deal with a parent who's upset. They weren't let in right away. They're in a rush, they got to get to work, that kind of thing. But our protocol is they don't come in until they're cleared. And or they have a sticker on their windshield, and this parent used a different car and doesn't have a sticker on the windshield. The guard didn't recognize them, so they held them up to make the call. So that's a very minor incident, and if the guy can communicate with people effectively, it's a non-issue. Just, sorry, sir, this is our protocol, and I have to make sure you're cleared before I let you in without the sticker. Something simple like that. Other than that, we've had people show up to residences and say that they had an appointment with a principal. So our guys go through their checklist. Good, is it on the schedule? Check with the POC. Nobody knows this guy. Then they have to turn him away. There is a skill set in that because you do not want to confirm or deny who lives there, even if it's open source information, which some of these places are. So I came here to see Joe Blow, right? Great, can you show me your ID? Or hold your ID up to the camera. Yeah, what's your name? Good, they check it against the list, that kind of thing. So it'll go through a progression of verifying this guy without confirming anything. They determine that he's not supposed to be there. So there's nobody here by that name, sure. But by then he showed you his ID up to the camera, which can read everything. And we've got the information we need. The car's on camera, we got the year, make, model, license plate. We've got this guy's ID if he decided to show it. We have ways to identify him in a background investigation if we need to do that. So with something like that, he'll get turned away. If it's a non-incident, we'll probably do a background on that guy. Criminal civil, find out who he is, who does he work for, what's the issue, just to deem it as not a threat. Sometimes it's a fan. Sometimes somebody had the wrong address. Like we want to determine what exactly it was. Sometimes it is a stalker, or he'll be on the lookout list already. So we'll match it against that. Good, this is this guy, he made another contact, and we'll go further as needed. So if we need to, if it's a stalker who's repeated incidents and it has committed a crime, then we'll liaise with local law enforcement on that. We've had a number of incidents where we've dealt with local law enforcement, and we have points of contact in various departments that we'll talk to for that kind of thing in the detective bureau or what have you. Our liaison is usually if somebody trespasses, right? That's something that we'll immediately call law enforcement on. If somebody breaches a property, law enforcement's on the way. That's our first thing, is to make that call. When they come, we want to give them description of subjects and vehicles and direction of travel. There's also like a checklist on what you need to hand off, but those are some basics. Whenever an incident occurs, no matter how big or small it is, guys need to write an incident report. So they'll write an incident report and send it up through their chain of command. It'll go to the detail leader, to the manager, and then get all the way up to me. Detail leader, manager, exec, and then to me. Oftentimes I will have to relay that to the client, which does a few things. One, it validates why we're there. It validates that we did what we were supposed to do. And it validates that there is a reason for security to be there. So it checks a bunch of boxes. We have had guys not perform perfectly, like they didn't get the description, or they didn't ask for the ID, or they didn't take a picture of the license plate because it was out of camera view. So they didn't get us anything to go on, and it was a concern, the contact. That we remediate with that guy on his policy. Like, these are the things we need and that you have to do when there's an incident or suspicious contact. So these are all in the standard operating procedures on each account, but just a general idea for people to understand what different incidents could be and how we do that. If there's a use of force incident, what that means is somebody had to go hands-on. I had to, either the guy aggressed me and I had to fight him off, or I had to detain him for whatever reason. You got to write up an incident report on that. That's key. Those reports have to go to BSIS. They got to go up and down the chain to the client, to BSIS, to legal so they can look at it for us. Like, we got to cover a lot of bases. That never happens really if we're doing our job effectively ahead of time. But those are just some examples.
And to what degree of force or physical contact classifies that? Anything? Someone pushes the guy slightly? Or if it's like they threw a punch kind of thing?
Really anything we want the report on, and we'll make a determination based on the report and the interview after that.
Okay.
Right? If somebody just bumped into you, yeah, good. What happened? Was he using, aggressive language? What have you? Like, we want to know the totality of the circumstances, right? Obviously, if it was fisticuffs or a shooting, God forbid, right? Or a knife, whatever, that stuff is, everything has to be in the report, and we got to send it to all those people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Has there ever been an incident where a traveling executive protection agent has had to defend a principal?
There have been. If your advance work is sound, usually you don't have to worry about that. But it happens. For example, had a client on a set in China. Production had paid certain shopkeepers and not others. The guys that didn't get paid weren't happy about that. And the rules in China are different. It's a communist country. So whereas in the US, I can buy a sidewalk, right? I can pay the city for the sidewalk, it's mine, whoever can park there. You can tell people you can't walk down. We have a permit. China's different. Everyone owns everything and no one owns anything. It's actually like a principle. That's my sidewalk as much as it is yours. So I don't care how many permits you have, it's mine. I can walk wherever I want. So there's a little bit of that. Then you don't pay shopkeepers, it compounds the problem. So we had people walking through shots, grabbing props and chucking them. It was a whole issue. We had a principal go to get into, looked like he was about to go sideways with one of these people. So we had to grab him, get him out of there to a safe spot. A couple guys solved that problem. But so we've had that happen. It is another country like that. There was no use of force because we handled it before that happened.
So you had to physically grab your client though and remove him.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of doctrine and principles and how you do that and when and why and all that. But yeah, we had to do that. But better that than letting them get in a fight or us getting in a fight in a foreign country.
For sure.
My comment was, you're not allowed to do that because if you go to jail here, we're gonna have trouble getting you out. Don't do that again. Yeah, it was one of those things. That's an example. Other than that, it's usually diverting things. Typically, you're moving from one place to another on an executive protection detail, from the vehicle to inside the venue, from the venue back to the vehicle, from one room to the stage, then back to that room. So typically, you want to move fast enough that nothing can hang you up. Routes of travel are cleared before that. And then anything introduces itself, it's a divert type thing and continue moving so you don't get hung up type thing. Anyway, ton of doctrine on this and ways to do it, but that's a very general answer to the question.
Are agents expected to deal with a medical situation?
Yeah, if required. So there's different requirements, right? If your principal has a medical situation, you want to handle that. We've had a guy on a residence where a worker had a heart attack on site. He was an EMT. And he gave him some chewable aspirin, and the doc said he saved his life, or the paramedic said that. But he knew what to do and had the stuff with him, the equipment with him. So yeah, he responded to that, correct. Handling your principal, correct. There's also disciplines in that if I'm working with a principal and something bad happens to someone else, that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is the principal. You get them to safety. So there are times where you may want to intercede in something and you can't, because you have a responsibility to do that. So that's an example.
Great. Have you ever had a principal outrun or outdrive an agent and therefore the agent can't speed because it's against the law? And what do you do in that situation?
Good. So if someone is speeding, if you have a principal speeding and you have to chase them, for example, this has happened, we will have a conversation with the principal on what we can and can't do. We tell guys, do everything you can within the law. Sometimes guys will bend that and go a little faster than they should, what have you. But we don't want them driving unsafe, and we don't want them getting into wrecks or getting tickets or whatnot, right? So we tell them, follow the law of the land. I'll have a conversation with the decision makers saying, hey, this is what we can and can't do, and it would help us if we operate in this box, so to speak. Anyway, so that is an incident that will go up the chain of command, and then we'll give them top cover and help them out with that.
Cool.
Yeah. Main issues we have to deal with are interfacing with points of contact. So when you're intimately connected on an account like this, people get flustered for whatever reason. Logistics didn't go right, the flight didn't get booked, whatever. So sometimes you'll have an estate manager, assistant manager, publicist lean on you. Hey, I need you to do this and that. You have to know what your job is and what you can and can't do within your job. So our guys do know that. But for example, I'm not going to go buy gum at the store when we're in the middle of a red carpet event or something like that, right? I have to do what my job is. So guys have to understand what their job is and have enough self-confidence and understanding of that they make the right decisions. We tell them to make the right decision at the right time for the right reasons. If you can answer all those questions, you're good. And some things are pressure, right? There's last minute. I tell guys, if you want to do this work, you have to work with pressure. It's what separates the good ones from the bad ones. So you have not enough time and you have to check 10 boxes. You have time for 2. Pick the best ones and try to get as many of the 10 as you can get in. For example, you have an advance you have to do, but you only have an hour before the principal gets there. That sucks. You want much more time than that. Good, well, you walk through the venue, talk to your points of contact, you'll move quickly and get that done and get all the key points done that you have to get done. And push it up your chain of command. Hey guys, I had 1 hour to do at least a 6-hour site assessment or whatever. Good, then we'll have conversations with the client. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but typically client education is a big factor. Like, hey, we can't do things in no time, and the more time you give us, the better. And the more we have those conversations, the more it starts to work.
Cool.
Yeah. There's a balance between doing security work and customer service. So a lot of what we do every day is customer service based. For example, carrying a client's bags. Here's some examples of that. If they come onto the secure property, you have a team of 2 other dudes working there, and they park in front of the door and they ask, hey, can you grab my bags? That's not a huge deal. You are not going to put them in danger or do anything illegal by carrying their bags in the house. And it makes you more valuable because they didn't have to do it. They go, that's great, the guy brought my bags in, right? Good, fair customer service ask. If they're asking the security team to go pick up the waste after the dog, right? While they should be doing something security related, they'll push it up the chain and we'll have a conversation and make sure we come to understanding on that. I don't like guys having to do stuff like that. There are other roles that can fulfill that need, right? I've been on the road with a principal and an assistant shopping in New York. What's the big street in New York? Broadway, whatever it is, whatever the big shopping district is. We're in there, they're in and out of the store, and the assistant comes to me with a handful of bags. Goes, here, can you put these in the car? And I said, nope. And they go, offended immediately. Why not? I said, because we're in a high traffic area with a very recognizable client, and I'm not going to step away from the client. But the car's right there, and the driver will pop the back for you if you need that. This was even risky because this is one that broke guys. This assistant would break guys. But I held my position. I had a good reason. The principal came up, stood there. I reiterated myself, and the principal just smiled and walked away, basically in agreement. So it was fine. Now, risky move, but here's my thing. Maybe I would have got fired for that, right? But what if I took the bags and went inside and then something happened to my principal while I stepped away? I'd rather get fired for not carrying bags than for some harm coming to my client because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, right? So these are the decisions guys have to make on the fly while they're working, right? You want to do the right thing at the right time for the right reasons. So there are customer service aspects, but if it is unsafe or risky or illegal, we won't do it. We've had whatever, clients in the music industry, they partake in various extracurricular activities. We need to know what we're carrying, where and when, right? I can't just let somebody hand me a bag. Hey, here's a bag, can you carry that to the car? I don't know what's in the bag. I'll find a way out of that, right? If I'm carrying a bag with something that shouldn't be in there and I have weapons on me, right, and permits that I live by and a career, I'm gonna lose all that if the wrong thing's in that bag. So you have to be responsible enough and able to articulate yourself out of those things. We don't typically work for clients like that, but something to be aware of as an agent so you don't get caught up in something that you shouldn't be involved in. So we've had a guy carry a bag before and it was questionable what was in there. Say, hey, don't ever do that again. It puts you at risk, it puts us at risk. It even puts the client at risk, right? Because then they lose their security if something goes sideways. Anyway, different aspects to that question.
These are great examples. Thank you.
Yeah. So those are some incidents my agents have had to deal with.